Welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we are checking out Power Girl Special Issue 1 by Leah Williams, Marguerite Sauvage, Joanne Starr and Natasha Bustos. Picking up Power Girl's story from the recent Action Comics backups, which you can check out here on my channel, Leah Williams pits Power Girl against Johnny Sorrow, who isn't just messing around with the hero but the entire world, sending out what he calls horsemen to trap more and more people in his dream world. While that's some pretty big stakes, Williams keeps things extremely personal for Power Girl, never forgetting this story began with the issues she had with her own mind about her identity and who she is and what she is as a person, and how her newly acquired mental powers, thanks to the Lazarus Reigns, can help her discover what is holding her back. Williams explores these problems inherent to Power Girl really well. She is a character from another Earth, a lone survivor of two dead worlds, and this isn't shied away from and glossed over. It's the crux of the entire story and laid out wonderfully in a sequence where Paige finally confronts what she has walled off in her own mind, beginning with the Supergirl problem, which is that her and Kara Danvers are pretty much the same person, yet Paige views herself as a lesser version of Supergirl, causing doubt to metastasize in her mind and make her feel like she doesn't belong. This wonderfully shows how Johnny Sorrow factors in as the villain, as he reveals how he saw a lot of himself in Paige and did everything he's doing so he can fall in love with her and they can be together and belong together. Power Girl's no shit taking attitude really comes out here as she doesn't fall for the game he's playing, having seen him run the exact same game on Stargirl and it never worked on her either. Johnny is a really compelling villain here. We get a lot of his backstory and why he's doing what he's doing, harkening it back to his days as an actor in silent films and how he couldn't make the transition from silent films to the talkies thanks to his accent making him feel like a lower class outcast. I applaud Williams for giving him this frankly extra bit of character work, since he could have just been doing it for selfish reasons or just, being a real mustache twirling creep who has an infatuation with Power Girl, but she took that and helped make Sorrow a compelling villain for Paige to battle, a villain who is very much in step with a lot of Superman family villains, ones who are often misunderstood people who have been given power and use that power in the wrong way without understanding what it is, or people who have been taken advantage of or who have extremely bad luck and react poorly to it. Paige's journey through herself really comes to a head when she is confronted by the Earth 2 Superman, who would have been her actual cousin. Williams takes Power Girl on a really heartfelt journey into her own grief here. The grief about not being able to say goodbye to her family and friends both on Krypton and Earth 2, and it brings back a really great realization. Even though she can never really feel worthy of the sacrifice or love for these people, faltering in the shadow of the love they left her is the true failure, and she must carry the loved ones with her and rise up above that failure. Leah couches this in a really fantastic sequence that's very similar to Earth 2 Kal-El in Infinite Crisis, where he smashes out of the prison that he and Lois and Alexander were trapped into, and I like the visual representation there through Marguerite Sauvage's work. Like the previous parts of the story, the Superman family are a big part of Power Girl's story. Paige doesn't feel welcomed by the family, despite all of them telling her the opposite, and it was her own insecurities that were holding her back. So the payoff here with her reuniting with the family, getting a proper introduction with characters like Keenan and Osul and Othel, was just really lovely and really felt earned. Everything is wrapped up in a nice bow here, with Williams setting up her upcoming Power Girl series later this year with a fantastic reveal that, despite thinking that she gave up her Lazarus Reign astral punching power to stop Johnny Sorrow, Power Girl actually still has that power and can still bust into the astral plane, which in all honesty is a fantastic extra power to make her unique to the rest of the Superman family and allow her to deal with more broader range of threats, since that's been a whole through line through this entire series, with her having to tackle unique problems that the Superman family can't just punch their way out of. So now comes the time I absolutely gush over Marguerite Sauvage's stellar artwork. Just what an absolute privilege it is to get to be able to look at this wonderful artwork. It's colorful, vibrant, really dynamic with how the panels lay out the storyline, making for a very fun read with a great flow, one that is actually quite a brisk read. I thought it was going to be quite a slog to get through, since the story is pretty heady. It's about entering people's minds and dreamscapes, stuff which could easily be very confusing and not easily able to follow, but visually Marguerite portrayed it right and made it just an absolute pleasure to read. I love her designs for the Four Horsemen. I do wish we got to see a little bit more of them, and I like that each of them had a simple yet beautifully horrifying look to them. They all had this great sort of grace to them, and I loved every time they were on the page, even if it was ever so brief. Now, Power Girl's story isn't the only one featured this issue, as Fire and Ice also get the beginning of a new story arc thanks to Joanne Starra. Fire and Ice end up out of their depth on a mission, and after a violent argument with Guy Gardner, who's no stranger to fire or ice, Superman responds to the mess, finding the women's egos and Guy's egos get in the way and almost hurt some of the people nearby, so it's time for them to take a vacation and take a moment to do some self-care. Luckily, Superman knows exactly where to send them, making them head for Smallville, where they're to stay with the Kents and find themselves again. However, Fire has other ideas on what she wants to do when she gets to Smallville. This little story is really just a quick setup to the upcoming book they'll feature in, but I thoroughly enjoyed how chaotic it was, just constantly upping the chaos of what was really a simple hero mission to fix a tidal wave, mixed with three extremely volatile characters who, let's be honest, are in the hero game for fame. They like when the cameras are on them and taking pictures of them and video of them, and I love the guy's utter bullheadedness, and it was so in character for him to turn up and immediately think that these two women couldn't handle this simple tidal wave, and because him getting involved, it just messed everything up even more. It's just utter chaos, and I loved every moment of it. The one thing kind of nagging me about the story, and it's probably something that's absolutely going to be referenced in the actual ongoing once it gets started, is how Fire and Ice know that Clark Kent is Superman, since the dialogue makes it seem like they're going to be staying with the Kents, hence they will probably know that Superman and Clark Kent are the same person, especially since in that Kal-El Returns book, while they are mentioned in that and we see photos of them, it's mentioned that people who don't know who Clark Kent and Superman are, when they learn that, they have a feedback loop happen in their head thanks to whatever Lex Luthor did to them, and it makes so they can't compute it, and it's why Perry White is in hospital, since he had a heart attack after learning that, since his mind went into a loop and just couldn't process that information. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they square that circle, and I'm sure they will, because these characters have had a past. They were in Justice League International, and you know, they know each other and everything, so I'm intrigued to see how their relationship with the Kents is formed through their relationship with Superman as well. Natasha Bustos provides some really lovely looking artwork for Fire and Ice's story, having a very cartoony comedy feel to it, similar to how the Jimmy Olsen book from Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber had the artwork help with the comedic aspects of the story and premise, and hopefully that continues on into the ongoing, since there's a really nice style, it's colourful, it's very easy on the eyes, there's no real hard edges or anything, it's just very nice for this particular type of story. Power Girl Special Issue 1 was a thoroughly heartfelt personal story that successfully put Power Girl back on her own path, respecting the character's past while building on something new and interesting for Paige through stunning vibrant visuals and witty dialogue. I'm thoroughly excited for Leah Williams and Joanne Starra's stories continuing later this year, and I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10, so check it out. Thanks so much for joining me here. Remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you like the video, and hey, have a good day.